Hi, so this is my Unit 13 pitch. So what I intend to produce. Throughout this course I have always aimed to create a short film that I enjoy and that others also enjoy. This unit is no different, as I intend to make an enjoyable short film. This is because I feel like this is my best work. I always do a fun short film, I think. I also want to do this as it is something that I enjoy doing, especially when it comes to editing it all together. So with this, I intend to make it so that each scene has multiple shots at the same moment. The skills I will use in this will be my lighting techniques, editing techniques, and camera work. So initial ideas. The first idea involves a man in a room with two other people, one on his right and one on his left. The man is waving a gun around and is frantically shouting and mumbling to himself. He's tapping the barrel of the gun to his head as the two other people continue to talk to him throughout the film. In the background you can hear faint police sirens with a light shining past a window, possibly a car light. As the character paces up and down slowly, you notice that the other two people always stay on the same side of him, one on his left and one on his right. Close to the end of the film, both of the mysterious people say to him, well, you were going to have to decide what to do. And then the shot cuts to him alone in the room, no sirens, no lights going past the window, and no other people in the room talking to him. The character looks around the room and then sighs and lightly whispers, oh, yeah. The screen then fades to black and you hear a gunshot. Throughout the film, you get hints of what is happening. They are subtle, such as the characters always staying on the left and right side, such as the angel and demon theme in some films, as seen here. Another detail is that you never hear them talk about themselves, and they are both the complete opposite of each other. So one is very cynical and one is very light-hearted and has good in their heart. What's actually happening is that the character is contemplating suicide after he has ran away from home. It's been a week since he ran away and he thinks that there are police after him for something. But as you go through the film, you get more and more hints at what is really happening and why he is there doing all this. So the pros and cons. The pros to doing this idea from the FMP are that I'll be able to create something that I like and I'm interested in. The second pro, it will also show whether or not I am able to create something of this genre, as I have not explored this genre in my own work properly yet. I have explored this area in the past slightly, but wasn't entirely sure on the concept, whereas with this, I feel like it's a strong idea and that I can produce a high quality short film with the skills I have acquired from the course. For the third pro, is that I will be able to show all of my filming techniques and loopholes that I have learnt throughout the course and have experimented with in my own work. An example of this would be that the lights going past the window could be a studio light going past a cardboard cutout of a window rather than an actual light going past the window, which would be quite hard for me to set up. Nothing else there? Oh, sweet. And the final pro to doing this film is that I feel like I can do this very well with the editing. This kind of film will require multiple cameras shooting at once, and I feel like I'll be able to choose the right angle for each scene to edit it all together so that the film not only makes sense but also makes an impact on the audience. The cons to doing this film are that I feel it will be a very hard task to accomplish. With this in mind, I feel like I can do this a lot better now, as I not only have more experience than before, but also have better actors at my disposal who understand my work and are able to embrace the characters a lot more. Another con to doing this idea is that it will be hard to film in the location I have access to, but this may work in my favour, as this could give me the incentive to do something such as multiple sets for the same location. I will do this by changing the background slightly of the scene so that it seems like the characters are in one long room rather than a small one. For idea 2, I have thought of doing a podcast to do with movies. This will include 2 other people as well as me recording a conversation about different movies with different segments such as news, a main theme, and maybe even a special segment at the end where we talk about what we have been watching recently and recommendations. This idea is very different to what I've done in the past, but this does come from a passion project, the idea that as I have wanted to do a podcast for a long time. The duration of the podcast would be 1 to 2 hours and would include a main topic such as a certain franchise of films, genre, or even a year's best movies. The people involved will be myself and 2 others just discussing the films and giving our opinions on them. The pros to doing this idea is that it will be very easy to produce, considering it doesn't need any sort of visual editing as it is audio only. And if I do any visual editing, it's quite easy to put together, as I would only have to put the posters of the films on the video and like a time frame every now and then. Another pro to doing this idea is that I will not have to redo any mistakes made as often in professional podcasts. I messed that up, sorry. Another pro to doing this idea is that I will not have to redo any mistakes made as often in professional podcasts. Mistakes are made and the content is made better and more relatable through the mistakes. The final pro is I'll be able to have the opportunity to show my opinions on certain things in a much easier and relaxed manner rather than, say, doing a review video, whereas in a review video, a lot of the time you have to be quite professional. The cons to doing this idea is that I feel this doesn't challenge me enough or prove that I have improved since my first year on the course. And another con to doing this idea is that I feel this is too easy and maybe a bit lazy compared to my other options for my F&P. And the final con to doing this idea is that I feel it will be a bit too long, considering the average length of a podcast is usually an hour to an hour and a half, which is what I would be aiming for anyway. For the third idea, I've decided to do another short film. The film involves a man running away from something unknown. The man locks himself in a room where he sees something horrible, but not so horrible that it makes him want to leave the room. He keeps looking out of the window, hearing growls and noises, and cowers back down on the floor, too scared to continue to look. The noises stop for just a second and he sighs, then he hears them again. He runs to the corner and hides behind a curtain. It's so dark that he decides to just close his eyes. When the man finally opens his eyes, the noises have stopped, and he peeks out from behind the curtains and sees that the room that was previously covered in something horrible is just a normal room. It is his room. The camera then zooms in on the man's arm, and you see needle marks all over him as you see him go to scratch them. He leaves the room as the film fades to black. Throughout the film, you see hints of what's really happening again, such as when you hear some of the noises, they stop very briefly. The growling will abruptly end and the room will be normal. The lighting will also change to just a normal room light rather than flickering lights, which will create a tense feeling. What is actually happening is the character has recently been doing drugs and is having a bad trip. Because of this, he saw some horrible things and was constantly paranoid and scared, although there wasn't anything really there. The pros to doing this idea are that it will be quite easy to manage, as I will only have one actor to work with and only some other people for the crew. It will also open up an opportunity to work with lighting in a more experimental way to help me in the future. Another pro to doing this is that I will be able to film it a lot easier using only one camera with different kinds of shots, such as POV or close-ups. And the final pro to doing this idea is that I will be able to play around with different sound editing techniques to create a creepy atmosphere. The cons to doing this idea are that I will have to mess around with props and think of something for the character to see as horrific, which will be a hard task to accomplish. Another con to doing this idea is that I will have to have the actor portray an addict, which can be a hard task for people to do, especially when I have limited resources and budget to create the character and atmosphere. The final con is the fact that it will be hard to film with the lighting being so dim, so I'll have to find a way to overcome the low light issue. For the first mind map, I have chosen to talk about my first idea short film. Firstly, for the target audience, I chose the age range as I feel that some of the issues that the film brings could be a bit too intense for younger audiences. I chose the demographic of students as this film is something that could be used for inspiration on another college project by someone else, and I chose all genders as the film can be inspiration to anyone and everyone. Finally, the duration of the film is quite short at 5 to 10 minutes. This is because I feel like this is what the premise is able to handle. As with the scenes that that have inspired this idea, usually last this long due to the premise not being strong enough for an entire film. For the second mind map, I decided to talk about the podcast. Firstly, I chose to set the duration this long as this gives me and the other two people to talk, like a long time to talk about the films thoroughly and debate about them over and over to finally come to an agreement or a disagreement. Secondly, I decided to choose two different editing softwares to use, as this way I can produce multiple versions of the product, including an audio and a video version. Finally, I chose to include 3 people altogether in this, as this way we can have a more heated debate, as it is more likely that we don't agree with what each other has had to say with 3 people rather than 2 people, because it's more likely for 2 people to share an idea than 3 people to all have the exact same opinion on one film or one topic. And for the third and final mind map, I decided to talk about my third idea, the other short film I told you about. Firstly, the sound effects will be mainly growls and every now and then claws scraping against either the floor or the door. This is because I want to make the scenes seem intense and scary to give the effect that the creature is real and getting closer and closer to the character. Secondly, I want the character to have ripped clothes to try and reflect what the character is really doing. He looks messy and unclean because he has been high for a few days and hasn't done anything else except that to show his addictive nature. And finally, once again, I chose to do it 5 to 10 minutes for the same reason as the first idea. The scenes this has been inspired by are relatively short, so this duration is suited to it quite well. For the target audience, for each of my ideas will be quite different. For the first idea, my target audience is mainly students aged 16 to 25. This is because it deals with some themes that some people are unable to handle below that age. This is also because I feel this is the demographic most likely to watch a short film made by a student, whether this is for research or even just for curiosity. For the second idea, my target audience is people aged 12 to 40. This idea has a much bigger audience as it's something that a lot of people can easily get into. The demographic I would be going for is schoolgoers / middle class, as they are able to see the films we will be talking about, and a lot of people are interested in what other people have to say about films and like to hear discussions about these topics. For the third idea, my target audience is once again students aged 16 to 25, as the film deals with topics that is more likely to occur within this age group. Another reason is that the film takes inspiration from multiple famous media productions that people within this age group would be familiar with, as well as research reasons. Research. I have already begun to conduct some research for each idea, although minor. This will help me get ahead when I have chosen the final idea. The research I have for the first idea is some scenes from movies similar to my idea, the theme of devil and angel on each shoulder even. Just trying to get it up now. I have noticed that I have not been able to find a lot of serious dramatic scenes from this theme. Instead, I have found more comical moments. This proves that the idea is unique and it is not covered in this way as much as it could be. For the podcast, I have gotten some feedback on previous podcasts that we have done, and I've also gotten feedback from other podcasts, such as the idea that I have. And so I've analysed what people think about it and what people would like to add to stuff like that. And for the third idea, I have, for the first time, in fact, there is, cannot read this for some reason. It's my own writing as well. The research I have for the third idea is similar to the research I have for the first, in the fact that it is the scenes from media I have used as inspiration. As I showed you on the idea 3 slide, there is 3 different scenes. One from Breaking Bad, where Jesse, the character, is scared of bikers coming to try and kill him, even though it actually turns out to be Mormons just knocking on his door to talk about God with him. And with this, he is just on a bad trip, and so is scared that somebody's coming to kill him. The second one is from Sherlock, from the episode The Hounds of Baskerville, with John Watson being scared of a creature that is not really there because they have put something in the air to make people scared of a creature so that they can make a lot of money and everything. And the third picture on there was from Trainspotting. It was the infamous withdrawal scene, which deals with the hallucinations and hearing things that aren't really there and seeing things that aren't really there kind of theme of the idea. The copyright / legal / ethical constraints. Throughout this unit, I will not have to deal with any sort of legal restraints, as I plan to use copyright-free music for the short films if needed. The location I'll be doing all of the ideas in is accessible to me as long as I book an appropriate date and time, and will easily be able to obtain permission from each member of cast involved in making either of the ideas. For the contingency plan, I do have a plan if anything is to go wrong, as I will film multiple versions of each shot on 3 different cameras with the same settings, and plan to do reshoots over multiple days so that I can get the best quality shot from each one. In relation to actors, I unfortunately do not have any at the moment, but I'm looking into finding actors accessible to me that can work with in my timetable and that can take on the role of the characters I have. As for interviews, I have no problem with that, as if I choose to do a podcast, I have an episode pre-recorded and ready to go. For the initial problems, which is where this comes in again, the first problem I could come up with is hardware malfunction. And I will explain this in just a second. There we go. A lot of the time, whenever I have been doing work on the hardware I have had a malfunction or two. This is unavoidable, but luckily isn't too big of a problem, as it usually sorts itself out quickly, and when it doesn't, I'm able to move to a different piece of equipment or use a different piece of equipment in general. Weather affecting attendance. Recently, the weather has been quite erratic and has caused problems with me being able to attend college. To avoid this, I'm going to make sure that I'm able to get in no matter what the weather is like, whether it is snowing or hailing or what have you. For the third problem, losing access to files, sometimes when I'm in college working on the unit, I'm unable to access certain files as I have left them on a different computer or they have become corrupt. However, this has an easy fix, which is just to make sure that I have a backup for each file that I make and make sure that I have a copy on a separate thing so that I can access that as well. For the fourth problem, the software malfunction, this has happened multiple times in the past once again and has the same solution as the first problem that I brought up. Move to a different piece of hardware to continue the work I was producing. For the fifth problem, time constraints. With this unit, although I have a long time to do it, there is a hell of a lot of work to do. To make sure that I don't run into this problem, I'm going to make sure that I manage my time correctly and strictly. And the sixth problem, stress. This is probably the biggest problem that could affect the unit. Stress could make it so that I won't want to come into college and produce the work, or want to focus on the wrong thing and everything. So to avoid this, I'm just going to make sure that I do everything in the order that I feel like I should do it. I've set myself steps on how to do everything in order, and I'm just going to follow that guideline. Presentation, the way I will be presenting this project will be on my Wix page, on my YouTube channel, sharing over Facebook and Twitter, as well as showing it at the end of the year showcase. The Wix page will have a separate page for the project to go onto, along with an email comment section where people can send in their opinions of the film, what they liked, what they didn't like, and what could be changed about the project. The YouTube channel will just have a standard video upload as usual, with the link being shared on social media in many forms. And the end of year showcase will involve a section of this film along with any other stuff I have done this year. And time management, I intend to manage my time so that I have plenty of time to film and do reshoots, as well as edit and evaluate the entire unit, with time left so that I can fill in any missing pieces to ensure that I get the best grade possible for this unit. My SMART targets at the moment are to complete the pitch and the first of the focus groups by the end of the next week, so I can begin work on the research for the final idea. And yeah, thanks for listening. Any questions?
Out of your 3 ideas, which one are you going to produce?
I'm leaning more towards the first idea, as I have assessed the pros and cons of each idea. And although the podcast would be very easy to do and would probably guarantee me a merit at least, I want to do something that's more suited to my skill and to what I have actually learnt in this course, rather than doing something that anybody could do who hasn't even done this course and still could get a merit just doing that. So, yeah.
Okay, my question number 1. Does that mean you're using the studio?
Yeah.
Number 1. Which then takes me to the second one. Right, these 2 characters on each side.
Yeah.
Good and bad.
Yeah. One's very cynical, one's very light-hearted.
How does it look? I mean, I just wanted to picture one of them now. How would it look?
Well,
I guess it's a he.
one of them's a he, one of them's a she, and the main protagonist is a he. So the main protagonist is going to have a bit of scruffy clothing because he's been out of, he's not been at home for a week, he's ran away, so he's not had many change of clothes. He hasn't had a chance to clean himself up and everything. The other 2 characters will just be dressed normally and have clean clothes and everything, because considering they're figments of his imagination, they're going to be just not however he sees them, and he just chooses to see them in clean clothes, because in his head this is kind of a hostage situation, and so if he's going to take a hostage, they're more likely to have clean clothes than he is, as the hostage situation will have only been going on for a day. And with the regards to costumes, the good one will just be wearing light-hearted, normal teenager clothes, maybe, or normal young adult clothes, whereas the cynical one will be wearing stereotypical, blood-covered or whatever, or just something semi-evil looking, with just everything black, as that is a stereotypically evil colour.
So idea 1 is going to be very much script driven, isn't it?
Yes.
How are you with scripts?
I feel like I can do well with scripts. I've also got some friends that can look over scripts for me because they do a writing course at the moment. So I'm able to have them look over it and then give me pointers on it. So I'm going to be using peer feedback with my scripts as well.
Would you be able to get 3 characters? How many characters do you need for idea 1?
For idea 1, I need 3. For idea 2, I need 3 people. And for idea 3, I only need the 1 person. But to answer your question, yeah, I'm able to get access to 3 characters.
Contingency plan-wise, Ben, if you can't get all the 3 characters, how could you make this film where you just rely on 2?
The way I could do it would be to film multiple versions of the same shot, or to have different sets and use the 1 character who plays the angel and the demon look, but have them in different costumes each time, and to make sure that whenever they're on one side, they swap to the other. and just manipulate the camera so that it focuses on just the main protagonist and whichever like side of him is talking at the time, which would probably
Determined by camera angle.
yeah, which would probably make it better for my editing skills, but would actually make it a longer process to film. So I'm hoping to have 3 characters. If I can't get access to 3 characters, I will do the 2 characters idea and have that.
Secondly, if you can't get access to the studio, is there any other location you could film in?
I could probably go out and I'm thinking of going out on the weekend to have a look for an off-site location to film in, as the idea that I have in mind is kind of an abandoned warehouse kind of thing. Considering the area I live in and the area we're in, I'm sure I can have access to anything like that quite easily. And if not, I can probably have access to a different kind of location, such as just my own house, and set the scene up so that I can make it look still like a warehouse, like putting black curtains up, having a picture in the background or something as the actual background, or just having really dim lighting.
Okay, can you maybe discuss some of the influences and inspirations you've had to come to this idea?
For the influences for the first idea, it's mainly just angel and devil scenes in films in general. Rather than like a dark kind of angel and devil scene, I was, say, watching Emperor's New Groove, and there's a character in that called Kronk who has an angel and devil, but it's a very comical moment. And as I was watching that, I was just thinking, this could probably make a quite amazing dramatic kind of theme, as I've not seen it a lot before, and I wondered why nobody had done it before. And then I thought I could try and do this myself, if I get the right characters, I get the right story, and get the right script in there. It could work really well with the angel and demon, because angel and demons are usually using supernatural drama stuff and horror stuff, which are always quite intense and dramatic and every now and then sad.
Okay, right. I've got a question, number 1. Multiple cameras.
Yeah,
I guess number 1's a drama.
yeah.
You know dramas don't use multiple cameras, so why?
Just so, like, for the multiple cameras thing, considering I'm going to be filming it all in one shot, I'm going to have one camera focusing on the left.
Why do you
And
do
one
shot?
Well, it's not all in one shot, just like the left and right bits, because they might be talking over each other at points to have an argument. So with that moment, I'm going to be filming multiple shots of the same scene, one focusing on the left and one focusing on the right, so that you can swap between the 2 characters very easily without it looking a bit shoddy, or like looking as if it's been cut in halfway between a conversation. It's more fluid, so it's more realistic with the conversation.
Someone else on camera.
Yeah, so that's gonna,
Very limited in terms of shots.
yes it is, which is a major problem I will have to try and overcome. But with that, I'm gonna be just using close-ups on the angel, and demon character. If they're talking over each other on what the main character should do, then I'm going to keep on swapping between those 2 in the editing.
And what makes that harder as well is they need to remember the scripts all the lines.
Yes, but with that, I'm going to allow a bit of improvisation, because the people that I've worked with in the past have done improvisation and have done it well, especially in drama. So with that, it's going to be a lot easier. I'm just going to, with any argument moment, I'm going to give them a guideline of what to say rather than exactly what to say, because arguments are quite hard to script. So it's more likely to be fluid and more off the tongue with an improvised argument.
So you'll need to storyboard that.
Yes.
I'm kind of getting the impression it's going to be more of a hybrid
Yeah.
way of filming, so you can have like multicam if you want. I think you're getting this up by multiple shots.
Yeah.
I'd have the one camera
Okay.
and focus on one angel and then the other one on the demon.
Yeah.
And stuff that way. You might have a safety shot,
Yeah.
but you need to storyboard it and then start drafting your script.
Yeah.
Can you discuss a bit about music then? What kind of
The music will just be like copyright-free, deep, slow music that is usually played in just anything like quite dramatic. Maybe every now and like at the end, maybe a sad piano theme kicks in as well for the credits, as the ending is quite sad. As when you hear the gunshot, you presume the character's killed himself because that's what he's been contemplating the entire time.
Any more questions?
No, just some I'll discuss with them later.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
sweet.